In early May, in the Pokrovsk direction, Ukrainian forces once again demonstrated the growing lethality of precision drone warfare. On a stretch of land measuring just 1.3 kilometers, now grimly referred to as the Death Landing, the aftermath of a brutal engagement became clear. 127 Russian soldiers neutralized in what appears to be one of the most concentrated losses on such a narrow front in recent memory. Captured by Ukrainian aerial reconnaissance, the video reveals a haunting scene. Russian bodies scattered across the open terrain, their positions frozen mid-movement as if time had stopped. The footage doesn't rely on dramatization. The reality is stark enough. This isn't just evidence of a failed Russian assault. It's a testament to how modern warfare is evolving in Ukraine's favor. The area, barely 1.5 kilometers long, had become a killing zone. The credit for the operation goes to the 72nd Mechanized Brigade of Ukraine, whose drone unit, Bulava, carried out the precise and relentless strikes. Flying silently overhead, these drones coordinated attacks and dropped explosives with pinpoint accuracy. There was no large artillery barrage or chaotic firefight, just the calculated efficiency of technology directed by experienced operators who knew exactly where their targets were. What makes this moment particularly striking is how effectively the Ukrainian side has integrated drone warfare into their defensive and offensive strategy. The Russians weren't just caught off guard, they were systematically hunted. The terrain offered little cover, and the low altitude of the drones allowed for surgical strikes that bypassed traditional defensive tactics. Even as the Russians attempted to move, the drones adjusted, responding with fluidity and deadly precision. This incident underscores a broader shift in battlefield dynamics. The use of FPV drones, loitering munitions, and real-time intelligence has turned what might once have been a slow attritional fight into something far more immediate and unforgiving. A mere 1,300 meters became a trap, with nowhere to hide and no time to adapt. For Russia, the loss is not only tactical but deeply symbolic. Deploying troops en masse in exposed conditions without adapting to the drone threat continues to yield devastating consequences. For Ukraine, this footage serves not only as documentation of a battlefield victory, but also as a psychological weapon. A clear message that the rules of engagement have changed, and those unprepared to fight under them will not last long. The Death Landing is now more than just a stretch of contested ground. It's a marker of how technological adaptation, battlefield awareness, and tactical discipline can converge to devastating effect. And as Ukrainian forces continue to sharpen these capabilities, such outcomes may become increasingly common on the road to reclaiming occupied land. These staggering Russian losses are not an isolated case, but part of a wider pattern that has defined much of the full-scale invasion. Time and again, Russia has shown a willingness to throw manpower into grinding assaults with little regard for human life. Waves of infantry, often poorly equipped and minimally trained, are pushed forward in repeated attacks against fortified Ukrainian positions. The result is a grotesque arithmetic of war, enormous Russian casualties in exchange for marginal, or in many cases non-existent, territorial gains. This disregard for soldiers' lives reflects more than just a failing strategy. It speaks to the systemic devaluation of individual troops within the Russian military structure. Units are rotated in and out of battle zones with little rest or resupply. Medical evacuation is often delayed or impossible. Coordination between ground elements and support units is frequently lacking or chaotic. These issues compound each other, and when confronted with Ukrainian units capable of rapid response drone strikes and precise artillery coordination, the Russian forces are exposed to catastrophic losses. And yet, despite the overwhelming firepower disparity on paper, particularly in terms of aviation, artillery stocks, and manpower, Ukraine has managed to hold the line. The reason lies in effectiveness, not volume. Kill ratios on the battlefield often favor Ukrainian forces by wide margins. While exact figures are classified, multiple independent assessments and battlefield footage, such as this one from Pokrovsk, make clear that for every Ukrainian casualty, several Russian soldiers are being eliminated. It's this asymmetry that continues to keep the front from collapsing under pressure. Technology is a factor, but not the only one. Discipline, local initiative, and tactical innovation give Ukraine an edge even when outgunned. The ability to eliminate 127 enemy troops on just over a kilometer of ground using a handful of drones and well-coordinated infantry support reflects a level of battlefield efficiency that Russia has yet to match. As long as Ukrainian forces can maintain this edge, maximizing every round, every drone, every movement, they can continue to absorb pressure and hold strategic ground. Ukrainian forces took out another D-30 howitzer that was shelling 12 kilometers deep into Sumy region. Recon spotted the camouflaged gun, and strict strike team finished the job. Putin claims the goal of the so-called special military operation is to fix the crisis, ensure long-term peace, and protect Russian-speaking Ukrainians, a narrative that has evolved over 3 years. Reality check. This war is driven by imperial ambitions, not humanitarian concerns.
We have enough forces and resources to bring what was started in the year 22 to a logical conclusion with the desired result for Russia. And this result is the elimination of the causes that led to this crisis, the creation of conditions for long-term sustainable peace, and the provision, the security of the Russian state, ensuring the interests of our people in those territories we always talk about, where people live who consider Russian their native language and consider Russia their homeland.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed that Russia is preparing a ceasefire proposal for Ukraine, as stated by Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. Rubio emphasized that the U.S. will assess the realism of both sides' proposals. If Russia's demands are unrealistic, sanctions will be imposed. This raises the question, does Rubio really believe Russia is moving away from its initial demands from Istanbul 2022? Also, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio stated that Trump is eager to meet with Putin as soon as possible. The timing and location of the meeting are currently under discussion. He also warned that the U.S. Congress is prepared to impose new sanctions on Russia if there is no progress in negotiations. Barking dogs don't bite. The U.S. is that barking dog. Chancellor Merz emphasized that Europe is not considering troop deployments to Ukraine at this stage. The priority remains achieving an unconditional ceasefire and addressing violence. Discussions are now focused on defining the framework for peace talks and potential security guarantees for Ukraine. Russia attacked Ukraine with 273 Shahed drones and various types of imitation drones last night, damaged the roof of a non-residential building. No casualties were reported, the city military administration said. Waiting for peace, and if not peace, then death. Life in frontline Novopavlivka, just 7 kilometers from the front.
Man, we wait for peace, and if there is no peace, then for death.
Man, I was standing there watering a flower bed, and I hear a whizzer. I think either run into the house or away. I didn't manage to run away. I just got to the gate and it...
Woman, it flies by like nothing, thank God. Then again, well, but where can you hide? The basement won't do, and sitting in the house, whatever happens, happens.
Man, we'll eat to the supplies until dawn, and then we'll fold our hands and whatever awaits us there. Nothing good.
Woman, there's no bread, only need to request. You have to ask someone to bring it. If someone is traveling, you can ask them. They'll bring it. If not, maybe you bake something if there's flour. If not, then you'll just sit.
Man, where to? Well, we're gonna leave, but we'll end up spending the night on the road. And what to do when they start covering us, then we're all...
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.